Hello, everyone.
Yes.
Good evening. Can you just put off your mic? Yeah, we say good evening to you from wherever you may be watching. And of course, good morning as well from wherever you may be watching. This is Opinion Sharer, a platform dedicated to discussing topical issues as it relates to humanity, as it relates to politics, as it relates to governance, as it relates to issues in the human environment. So we've been discussing a whole lot of issues on this platform, and today we are committed to discussing about Tanzania and the era of President John Magufuli. President John Magufuli, as we may know, is the immediate past president. And when I say past now, the president that we lost some couple of days ago. And of course, I think he's been laid to rest. He's been committed to the motherhead today. So Africa lost a personality. But in the house this evening, we have experts. And when I say experts, they are people passionate about the progress of Africa. So starting with, I think we need to introduce ourselves. So I'm starting with the village boy. Village boy, could you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you very much for having me here again. My name is Politife Luadele, and I am the village boy. Thank you.
Right. James, you can please introduce yourself to our audience. Put on your microphone, please.
Yes, I'm saying James Cleto Mumbere from Uganda. I am a Pan-African activist who is a co-director with Michael for the Pan-African Center for the Youth in economic and political kind of empowerment for the young people in Africa. But away from that, I also am a policy advocate, call me a policy analyst. So I coordinate activities of the National Youth Advocacy Platform in Uganda. Thank you.
All right. Now to our brother from Tanzania, could you please introduce yourself to our audience out there?
Michael, he might be having.
I think there is a network problem. Please, Mr. Paul, could you please go ahead to introduce yourself? I know you are no stranger on this platform, but we still need you to introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. My name is Paul Abiodun Fadimo. I am a social worker by training, and I'm a teacher. Thank you.
All right. So, Bashir, I think your network is stable now. Can you please introduce yourself?
It doesn't seem stable yet.
Okay. So, without wasting much of our time, last week we heard of the news of the demise of President John Magufuli. President John Magufuli is a late president of the Republic of Tanzania. Tanzania is a country in East Africa. And he's been a person, or rather, he was an individual that people really loved so much. And we can see from the videos coming from Tanzania, like people crying, mourning, and all manners of things. So his death is more like one too many to the continent of Africa, because he lived his life championing the cause for better Africa. He loved his people, and of course, his people loved him. So I think our death dealt Africa a very heavy blow at this particular time, when we quest for an individual or group of people who will champion the cause for better Africa. As we may know, Africa has been bastardized over the years by bad administration, maladministration, poor leadership, and whole lots. So this evening we want to discuss about Tanzania as a nation, and of course, putting into consideration the person of President John Magufuli. So I think while we wait for Bashir to join us, James, could you please tell us, in your own opinion, because you are from East Africa, just a sister nation to Tanzania, could you please, in your opinion, share your thoughts with us about the person of John Magufuli being a Pan-Africanist and, of course, putting into consideration the opinion of people about him? You have the floor, please.
Well, thank you very much, Michael, and I am glad that you gave me this opportunity to share, but also pay tribute to the late President Joseph John Pombe Magufuli, the fallen president of the United Republic of Tanzania. Tanzania happens to be in the south of Uganda. So Tanzania is surrounded by Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, and that is what makes the East Africa, including Burundi. President Magufuli has not been one public servant in Tanzania for the very first time. At least reports indicate that he's been in government, having won the parliamentary seat, I think, way back in 1995. So for nearly 20 years, he has been serving his country in different capacities until the 5th of November 2015, when he first ascended to the throne or to the seat of the United Republic of Tanzania. President Magufuli, first and foremost, has been one man who loved his God dearly, a president who really was a devotee, was a Christian, a Roman Catholic, but who loved his God, and this you can actually see in his style of work and also in many of his speeches. His speeches, many of them which were in Swahili, were indicating that he was a God-loving man. One of the very, very first phrases I remember was, he was always saying, tusimame na Mungu wetu, let's stand with our God in every challenge, in every situation. So we accord him that tribute for having loved his God, but also having loved his nation, the United Republic of Tanzania. President Magufuli was a very hard-working man, and he had his slogan still, hapa ni kazi tu, hapa kazi tu, let's just do work. Here it is only work, and that was him. He demonstrated this. He was not a man of so much rhetoric, but he was a man of action. So he's a man who came to power as a scientist and brought this scientific approach in the style of his work. We could actually see it through the way he actually transformed the country to a middle income status in a very short while. In about 5 years or so, Tanzania was already regarded or probably given that accolade by the World Bank to have entered the middle income status. He transformed the country in so many aspects of life. You could look in the infrastructure sector, the mining sector. We are told apparently that Africa, I think the only country that has a very good and efficient transport system is the United Republic of Tanzania, which actually has been done courtesy of the late President John Pombe Joseph Magufuli. President Pombe Magufuli transformed the education sector in Tanzania. We have seen enrollment of the secondary school and also primary school pupils increase tremendously within the space of 5 years. President Joseph Magufuli can be remembered for many things. Most importantly, the fight against corruption, where a great deal of public servants who are found in corruption tendencies were sacked. He himself instituted an anti-corruption court, and that court has been dealing with very big corruption cases. And those are the kind of leaders that really Africa wants. We are told Tanzania, as of now, courtesy of the reign of President Magufuli, is working out a biggest electricity dam, which is not found in Uganda, Kenya, or elsewhere. And so with all these plus the many other achievements, he actually demonstrates or demystifies the notion that no African leader would claim to need 1,000 years to transform a country. Even 5 years are enough for a president of an African country to transform an African country. I can end it
Thank
there.
you. Thank you for that submission. Thank you, and thank you. I think we have Bashir now on the show. He's stable. Bashir, we condole with you on the demise of President John Magufuli. We know it was actually a very heavy one. I know the atmosphere in Tanzania is still very cloudy at the moment because he was committed to murder here today. So we condole with you, and of course we extend our condolences to every individual from the Republic of Tanzania. So my question goes thus to you. What is the atmosphere presently in Tanzania, putting into consideration the demise of President John Magufuli?
Honestly,
I think there's still network. There is the network issue with Bashir. So, Bashir, are you with us? Yes,
yes,
please
yes.
go ahead. Go ahead.
My apologies for the bad network. What I can say that we are like puzzled. We don't know. We are a bit of confused, and for the right reason. We are very confused. We are very sad and unhappy, and this is because of the person we have lost. It's not like a very normal person or a very normal leader as usual in African countries. This one, he was a bit special. That's why most of us, we are very sad, we have lost in the way, but we know the way because he put everything and he showed us where we want to go. So we know that where we want to go, we know the direction he has already shown us, but still we were relied on him. He was our captain and he was our president. So we were very confused, we were unhappy until today. It's like we don't even believe that he has gone. This is the man who came from nowhere. It's the man who make our hope alive. He's the man who make impossibilities to be possible. He's shown us that you guys, because for the beginning we believe that we are very poor. We believe that this country, in order to develop, we need somebody from outside. We need donors from outside. We need them to assist us in anything that we want to grow. Either is infrastructure, is economy, is politics. We need to have their inputs. That's what we were believing. When he came, he told us that's not true at all. We are capable of our own. He just told us this country is so rich that we don't need to depend on anyone. We can grow on ourselves, either it's economy, or it's politics or anything. So he's the one who come us and conquer our hearts and then show us the way, the direction. he revived our hope. So he's that kind of a man who we know that it's not easy in Africa, someone who is on power and you fall in love with him. You like what he or she is doing. It's not very common in Africa. Sometimes it's not, you can see like 40 or 50%, they are not happy with the current regime in most of the African countries. But it was very different in Tanzania. I can say we really love him. And we come to the conclusion after he was passed away that it is true. First, we know we love him, but now we can conclude that we truly love him because he's that person who he doesn't need to say anything. His facial expression says all. He has an identity of leadership. When he doesn't tell you that I hate corruption, you can see it through his face that he hates corruption. And he told us something that it was very new, like self-discipline. We were not disciplined. We were not economical or financial discipline. We are not even political discipline. And he insists of that most of Africans are not well disciplined in economy or finance and politics. We just believe that political, that we can do politics at any time. We can gain from politics, but for him, he had a very different idea of politics, very different, and it worked. Before, in this country or in any country in Africa, these politics activities, you can see it daily. It's like you can come today in Tanzania and you can think that maybe tomorrow they are going to have an election, but it is not. Every day in our newspaper, it was the heads, the front page, it was all about politics. So we worship politics for like 24 hours. When he came into power, he changed all that. He said that, let's work first, and then we will do politics later. We didn't believe that. But later we change everything. Instead of talking about politics every single day, now we see that we don't need to go to Dubai. We don't need to go to Japan. We don't need to go to America. America can be here in Tanzania. Japan, Dubai can be here in Tanzania. And that can be only done through our hard work. No one can help us rebuild this country other than Tanzanians. So instill that to us, and now we are very sad we have lost this man.
Thank you so much. We'll come back to you just in a moment. But before you go, just in 30 seconds, what is the circumstance or the circumstances surrounding the death of John Magufuli? Because we have heard a whole lot of things, but let us hear from you just in 30 seconds. What do you hear of his death? What is the circumstances surrounding the death of John Magufuli?
What I have heard is from our current president. I know that because I have been following politics and even his health for a long time. He has been sick, but not that sick, but he has even been hospitalized, admitted to ICU a couple of times back when he was just a minister. So he was, I can say it was just a natural cause. I can just hope that, and I believe that.
Thank you so much. Now to the village boy. As an historian and as a scholar, You are quite aware of the role of Nyerere, that's Julius Kambarage Nyerere, whom we regard or people regarded as a founding father of Tanzania. So, in your own opinion, what do you make of Magufuli in relation to Julius Nyerere?
Thank you so very much for taking me through that route of history. The phenomenal Magufuli. When I was contemplating about I'm even very glad, it's as if you read my mind. I was going to provide a linkage between Nyerere and Magufuli before. Now that you have specifically asked, that one thing stand out. Both of them were teachers. So, but I would have said, oh, what Africans need is teachers at the end of affair. Then I paused. I said, oh, hold it a second. Shagari was a teacher. Jonathan Ebele was a teacher, or is a teacher, is still alive. So I don't think it's being a teacher that made the difference, but being a teacher that is focused on the people. You know, a teacher is a nurturer. A teacher nurtures people for the future. That is the job. That is the primary job of a teacher. A teacher is someone that is frugal. I mean, somebody think they are stingy. I think they are very frugal. So from the time of Julius Nyerere, you see frugality at play. You see focus at play. It's like the shoe that Julius Nyerere left is as if Magufuli just stepped his shoe into it, and it fitted very well. And I took note of I think it was the first guy that spoke that, look, 5 years was sufficient to demonstrate to perform wonder, which is exactly what Magufuli did. In fact, history will be so kind to both Julius Nyerere and Magufuli for giving Tanzania that torchlight to believe in themselves, to believe in their ability. Like our Tanzania friend was said, look, Africans are not disciplined enough. I cannot agree less with him. But one thing that Julius Nyerere and Magufuli have shown us that, look, Africans can be disciplined. These two guys were a demonstration of discipline. And they're Africans. So they are proud Africans for that matter. We are proud that we had Julius Nyerere. We are proud that we had Magufuli. And this will be very kind to them. And again, I took note when look, our friend from Gambia was talking. Look, it is not about rhetorics. It's about action. This man was full of action. In Nigeria today, we keep on saying if you go after corruption, corruption will go after you. Magufuli went squarely after corruption, and he succeeded. Somebody wrote about that. So he cleared 19,708 ghost workers. We read all this thing in newspaper every day, and by the time you add all the figures that they have said they've cleared in Nigeria, the number of ghost workers would have been more than the population of Nigeria as we speak today. But this guy practically demonstrated that, look, we are not going to tolerate this. And we could see the footprint that actually ghost workers were clear. There were decline instead of corruption. There were adoption of blueprint. Is somebody that favor what we call in economics backward integration. That look, we have what to develop ourselves. And he demonstrated that he did not just say it, he lived by example, which is a very wonderful thing that Julius Nyerere also did. Nyerere lived by example. These are leaders that lived by examples. So it is not a case of do what I say, don't do what I do. They walk the talk. Magufuli walk the talk, Nyerere walk the talk. It's like in a race, it's as if Nyerere, when he was going to hand over the baton, nobody was able to take it until Magufuli came. And so look at that gap between the time Nyerere left and when Magufuli came. It is very sad that he had to be so brief. 5 years was so short. But we are happy, we are glad that we had him. And I also express my condolence to the people of Tanzania and to Africa, especially the Pan-Africanists in general. I watched the video of Professor Lumumba shedding tears, and I was shedding my own in my own little corner. So, oh, wow, because this is a guy that actually knew this guy, and we are very close, by virtue of being in East Africa together. So this is guy that was disciplined and demand accountability. And this guy, in fact, his achievement is beyond beyond the scripture. Julius Nyerere laid the foundation, and Magufuli built a very vivid device on that foundation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that position. I know I can't express. I'm not shocked by that position you've made as an historian. But I think for the sake of our audience, I've been privileged to have met with individuals who have worked in Tanzania, who have done a lot of things, who have conducted research on Tanzania. One of them is Professor Ehosa Osagai, a very senior professor of political science from University of Ibadan. I've been privileged to have been under his tutelage, and he has made us understand a lot of things, that Tanzania is one of the most, better democracies, advanced democracy in Africa. They've been very wonderful in managing the ethnic and religious differences for the common good of Tanzania. We are still going to come back to that. Now, I'm coming to Mr. Paul. I know you are very passionate about the progress of Africa. You are passionate about young people taking leadership in Africa. But in your own opinion, with what President John Magufuli did when he was the president of Tanzania, are you of the opinion that it is only young people that can change the political narrative of Africa? Let us have your view.
Thank you very much, Michael. I, first of all, would like to also, submit my unreserved condolence to my brother from Tanzania. I have had contact. In fact, there are some of my family members here who are from East Africa. They really love him. They've told me so much about him, and I think I would love to say one or two things about him. So, on behalf of them, I'm saying that he will be greatly missed. And from my position, I am a critic. I am a critic of African leaders, especially. And for me to have seen somebody or heard about somebody whom it seemed difficult for me to critique or to criticize, it's not very common. So, and then as regarding the question that Michael asked me, I am an advocate of youth taking political posts or position of authority, but at the same time, I think we cannot limit ourselves to youths, because when you look at the concept of community, there would always be older people, there will be people in the middle age, there will be people who are youth, there will be children. So I would think Magufuli is by way of my profession, I understand that is at the age where we say they are middle age. Okay, so I think he's at the tail end of his middle age, before he joined the creator. So I would say that we can learn from him, from people like few leaders like Magufuli that can be celebrated, that we can talk about like the way we are talking about him. That the younger generation needs to learn from people like him. Learn from his dedication to the country to make sure that that country is developed. And I want to also, I am hopeful and looking up to what becomes of Tanzania after his demise. I want to believe, I want to hope that the legacy which he left behind, that the young Tanzanians will take it up from there, and continue to demand for good governance from the current administration. And I pray that they will succeed. Thank you, Michael.
Wow. Thank you so much for that very wonderful contribution. Now I'm coming back to
Okay, Michael seems to be having an issue. Okay, I am going to, while we wait for him, I'm going to ask our brother from Tanzania, to just what would you when you compare when you look at the Michael, are you back? Okay, he's back.
yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So Bashir, now I was trying to establish a point. There's a saying in the western part of Nigeria that there is no way a man will walk without his head shaking. So I'm saying this because President John Magufuli was accused of certain things, and which are: one, he was accused of not giving room for press freedom in Tanzania, and at the same time, he was accused of not being tolerant to the opposition parties. What do you make of this position? How true are these statements against the person of John Magufuli?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Honestly, yes, I have heard those accusations, and one thing I can tell you is that before our president, our ex-president.
Kandera, can you move your microphone close to your mouth?
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me now?
The microphone, the headset.
Okay, okay.
Yes, speak to it, yes.
Okay, thank you. So, earlier when he was elected as a president, one thing is he said, first, I'm not going to.
Sorry, your audio is still not good. If possible, remove that headset completely. If possible, if
Okay. How about that?
Fantastic.
How about that?
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. So he was saying that there's a word, there's being verified by or recognized by outsiders, especially maybe Europeans. When they are going to love you, they are going to like you, they are going to accept you, and most of our leaders, they are doing so much for them to be accepted, recognized, and awarded by outsiders, and they forget that those outsiders, they are not the one who voted for them. So President Magufuli was very clear about that I'm going to do things that outsiders will not like it, but I'm not concerned about that since they are not the one who voted for me. And mostly of the issues were like this issue, the right of the media, for example, or the opposition. But it wasn't an issue, because what he just wanted is political discipline. The time to do politics and the time to do work. He allowed politics, but in a manner that it will not going to confuse the people. He just wanted all of us to be on the same page. What do we want to do as a nation? Not to be confused by politicians. So he just gave them a room for them to do politics, but with limitations. And for me, I wasn't a very big fan of doing politics without limitation, because I know the effect of it. So my wishes before is for us to concentrate of building the nation, for us to understand what is our direction as a one nation, but also to allow people to have different opinions. So for him, he allowed that. He gave a lot of politicians a room of having different opinions, even added other seats for the disadvantaged groups who are on position to have them be heard in either in parliament or any other sectors. So he even appoint some of the people from opposition. He appoint, for example, one of the person who she was ahead of one of the opposition to be a regional commissioner. He allowed that, but he insists on discipline. He defined a discipline, political discipline, in a manner that it doesn't need to confuse a nation, that you can have a very different opinion, yes, and if that opinion is maybe it has more weight than what the government has, they can take that opinion, but it could lead to some misunderstanding, mostly with Europeans. And yes, most of them, they didn't like him. And he was very open that I know that most of the people will not like me, but the fact that I'm going to do is for the nation. And we see, for example, I can give you one example. He fight for the corruption. People think he was oppressing people, but no, he knew that there's a lot of big business people who were evading taxes, and going to them, he was very clear that I can't go to these small business people and make a point without going to you who are called untouchable. And he hates that word, that some are untouchable. He wants us, all of us, to be very equal. He wants anyone who has different opinion to be heard. So yes, I have heard that. Even as I give you an example, that before it was politics from morning to evening. We are talking, it's a TV, it's a radio, it's a newspaper. We are talking about politics for the 10 years. When he come into power, he suggests that, no, don't you think now is the time to start telling people about economics and how we can improve our economy, how important agriculture is, how important infrastructure is. If you ask me, maybe 5 years to come, front pages, they can have a title on agriculture, I would say no, never. But now it is very common. The big selling newspaper, they have on top of the pages talking about agriculture, talking about infrastructure, talking about patriotism. It was very, very rare before.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that submission. At least now, for some of us who are outside of Tanzania, we now clearly understand better why some of these comments again, John Magufuli was always coming in that he was not giving him room for press freedom, and he does not allow he does not give room for opposition. Now we better understand the position, and we thank you so much for shedding light in that dimension. Now, just in 1 minute, I want all of us to react to this. I know man, as by design, is a spiritual being. When COVID-19 came in, that was last year, we saw the entirely different approach that Dr. John Magufuli had in attending to that situation. Entirely different from other African countries and, if I may say, the global environment. John Magufuli was a scientist. What do you make of his position in managing the COVID-19 pandemic that bedeviled the whole world? Now, let me start with James. Could you please share your thoughts with us?
Well, thank you, Michael. The truth about COVID-19 is that COVID-19 is real. I have actually fallen a victim of circumstance because I suffered COVID-19 last year in November. For nearly a month, I was down. And the truth of it is real. So you cannot know where you're even picking it from. But being a new pandemic that has hit the world, I cannot crucify President Magufuli for all his actions, because as a scientist, yet I'm not, and in his own wisdom, he must have found reason for why he decided so. And I can attest to the fact that I think I cannot say he compromised the people, because even then, if you followed the events even after his death, the adherence to the COVID-19 guidelines is still not being followed like you could imagine in many other countries. The aspect of social distancing is not the case. I've not witnessed that. Even today, during the burial ceremony in Geita, I could not really appreciate the fact that there was social distancing. The millions of people that turned up for the burial, many of whom high-profile citizens, they were not masking up, they were not putting on masks. So I think, one, I must appreciate that Tanzania is a very spiritual country. And in that way, I could only wait to see the new direction the new President Samia is going to take in as far as guiding the people amid the existing pandemic. But as of now, I think let's continue praying like President Magufuli asked us to pray.
All right. Thank you so much. Just the village boy, let us have your own view of that particular position of President John Magufuli about COVID-19.
Thank you so very much. This is an intersection between the confusion of narratives that we saw with COVID-19 and the challenge of a leader. A leader word is weightier than just an ordinary person. When a leader mislead in any aspect, it can spell a disaster to the people. Well, in terms of being spirituality, there's a scripture in Peter, so that's the first or I can't remember precisely, and I said that, add to your faith knowledge. So the scientific knowledge about this thing, though it was also confused at the time, I wrote an article about that, which I use the native Yoruba to explain, which I call a Dalu of narratives. There were a lot of conspiracy theories going on here and there, but as a leader, this kind of pitfall that he made in openly declaring that he never believed in the COVID-19, I think it was a gross mistake. It was a mistake that he made. It is a mistake of the heart, not of the head. But a situation like this, science about the head and not of the head. And a good leader should be able to balance the head and the heart together, especially knowing that whatever step you take, those following you will likely take the same step. So if you are leading them in the wrong direction, it can become a disaster. I think it was a gross error on his part to have openly declared that spirituality alone was sufficient. It may be, I'm not denouncing spirituality, but the giving of knowledge is also for to be used for a good purpose. I think here in that place, we have a governor in Nigeria who also still taking the same stance today, and even the senator from his state are now scared. They are saying they are not sure they will take the vaccine because their governor say he doesn't believe in COVID. That is a horse. I think those James say he has experienced it. Those who have had a lot of people who have had the first contact with COVID. There are things we should not joke with. It is real, and I think that is one perhaps pardonable mistake that Magufuli made. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before I come to Mr. Paul, I think it is very important we hear the perception of Bashir about the management of COVID-19 by John Magufuli. So, Bashir, let us hear your thoughts.
First, I would like to put the record straight, very straight, that Magufuli, president, never said COVID-19 is an hoax or he doesn't believe the existence of it. That's, I can say, it's just like a propaganda. Magufuli insisted all of his speech about COVID-19 and for us to follow the guidelines, but also to use our own African or Tanzanian way of protecting ourselves. And he also insists that he's not going to do lockdown. That's where the problem was. But it wasn't about whether there's COVID-19 or not. It is. There's COVID-19. We all understand that. And he insists when he do all the speech regarding the COVID-19, and he asks people never to panic about COVID-19, never to panic. Just make sure that you pray, you protect yourself by African way or Tanzanian way. So that was an issue. But also, he didn't want us to do the lockdown. And for me, 100%, yes. I didn't want any kind of lockdown. I think Tanzania is very different from other African countries in terms of culture way. For example, for us, we go out early in the morning. We don't have that habit, for example, of having maybe a food or everything packed in our house for like a week or 2 weeks. That is not our way of living. We usually have a daily food, today, tomorrow, next day, and go on. So having a lockdown it means that you want you send us to death. You want to kill us, and he just wanted to us to be because he just believed that this kind of a disease is mostly can be caused maybe of that panicking. When the nation is panicking, is more dangerous than a disease, than a COVID itself. So he was very succeeded to calm us down, and also to do the numbers every day. Those who are affected, like today we have 30 who are affected. Things are not going well for us and everything. That thing, it make our country very unstable. And after he made the decision that okay, there's a COVID-19, but we need to find a way how to live with COVID-19, because it's not like it's going to leave soon. So we need to find a way. How are we going to live? Like the way we have find a way of how are we going to live with AIDS. So he proposed a way. That's what I think most of the people, mostly from outside, did it like that way. That's why it became like that. But he never said that. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for that submission. I think we are running out of time. We just need to do justice to a few questions we have. Now I'm going to Mr. Paul. John Magufuli was somewhat anti-West in his approach to the governance of Tanzania. What I meant, he never gave room for the penetration or influx of Westerners. And of course, it's been argued by different opinion leaders and of course scholars that the neo-colonial agenda is one of the factors that will limit the progress of Africa. And of course, we know we have multilateral, we have bilateral relationship. Of course, as a scholar, social development is very important. Of course, it is not what we can do all alone. We need to depend on others as well. What do you make of Magufuli's position? Let me call him being an anti-Western person in his approach. What do you make of him?
Okay, thank you, Michael. I'd like to quickly respond, if you permit me, to a few things that I noted down while our brother from Tanzania was speaking. He talked about the fact that President Magufuli wanted the Tanzanians to treat COVID-19 the Tanzanian or the African way. And I really would have loved to see the result of that. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with domesticating our approach or our treatment. I really love, as a social worker, I believe in that we should domesticate our approach. But also, we also need to know that the world has currently become a global village. And the pandemic is something that affects every country of the world. It did not start in Tanzania. It did not start in Africa. In fact, we have no knowledge of it in Africa. And I'm sorry to say this, okay? But we are dependent on the information that is being studied by experts, maybe Africans it could be experts of African descent who are working in the West or in Asia, who are studying. So it is common sense for us to take the message. You can discard the messenger. Okay, if I don't like you, I may not talk to you. But if you are dishing out information that can help save my life and help save the life of my citizens, then the onus is on me to listen. I saw a video of President Magufuli, somebody sent to me, where he was talking about the fact that they needed African scientists to develop their own vaccine. When? Where? Something is killing people. Something is killing us. And then somebody is offering us something that can probably save us, or at least save a few of us. And then you are saying we need to study our own, we need to develop our own. When? I personally know a lot of people who have background in science in Nigeria, who have become religious people. And because of their religious inclinations, they have practically dropped their scientific knowledge. I know people who have studied up to PhD level in Nigeria who prefer their religious superstitions ahead of science. And I believe this is something that is killing us. We've been focusing on wealth in Africa. We've been focusing on building wealth rather than building knowledge. All right. So quickly, and as being an anti-West, I have no issue with somebody being an anti-West. Okay. But at the same time, I think it's also important that we know that we can only benefit from the world globalization if we partake in it. If we don't partake in globalization, because the world is becoming a global village, we will not benefit from the advantage that comes with it. I think it is our responsibility to be able to negotiate the resources that we have at our backyard in Africa. What the problem that Africa has is not the West. The problem that Africa has is our poor leaders, our terrible leaders. They are the problem that we have. If somebody is negotiating, they are the ones that is negotiating with the West on our behalf. Okay, so if I am selling something and you are the one that is buying, I can decide the price. I can decide to say, I would rather go hungry. I love the fact that he domesticated the sale of gold in Tanzania. I love that. I really cherish him for that. But I wish that we would also, because as a leader, you need to be all round,
Thank you for that position. I think we
Uh,
can exhaust this conversation. We can continue to talk over and over again. And I'm sure that my brother from Uganda and, of course, a village boy will be very interested in this particular angle of discussion. I know James, as a Pan-Africanist, we have discussed over and over on the Western influx in Africa. And of course, Magufuli stood his ground, never giving room, or let me say to a very large extent, for the Westerners to penetrate or to manipulate the economy of Tanzania. James, what do you make of that?
Well, thank you, Michael. I can only give him distinction. I can only give him applause, even as has actually departed to our creator today for the great work he did in as far as that field is concerned. The West has been very good to us, but partly, like Paul said, African leaders have actually shown us that it is actually a curse other than a blessing to embrace the West. Take, for instance, the pandemic we are dealing with, COVID-19. The West have had their money at their disposal for everyone to borrow. And many of African leaders have gone in for these loans, which we do not know until when we shall keep paying. And yet the loans have been put to waste. The Westerners have given us the money, but the money has gone to waste. Magufuli never sought for any loan. He actually entirely depended on his internally raised revenues to, build hospitals, to build health facilities, to build the education sector, the infrastructure sector, the transport sector, without any loan. So our relationship with the West does not actually translate into the transformation of our nations. In other words, if we actually got the oblongata of President John Pombe Magufuli and unleashed, got all that hard disk and all the notes he had on his oblongata, and then we gave them we use that as a syllabus for our African leaders, probably we may actually get sanity. Because I want to imagine that our African leaders who have been there for 1, 2, 3, 10, 20 plus years probably have something they have taken note in their notebooks from President John Pombe Magufuli, and I would wish to see going forward a reduced appetite of these Western loans and Western grants. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now to the village boy. In just 1 minute, what is your position about Magufuli's approach in terms of dealing with the Western powers? As an economic expert, I would want you to talk in that dimension, just in 1 minute.
Well, they say two wrongs will never make a right. The truth is that our partnership with the West has not been an equal partnership. It has been a subservient partnership. And because our leaders have not negotiated that parity, that recognition. But with what he has demonstrated is saying, okay, we can look back inward and develop our own economy without having to borrow from outside. Even in real terms, the money we are borrowing, they are part of the money that are stolen by our own people, taken to the West, and the West are lending the money back to us. For Africa, it's a double what we call double jeopardy. I think we need a leadership in Africa that can bring some measure of respectability to our people, so that we can now negotiate as partners, equal partner, not as master servant. The truth today is that we are still dealing with the West as master servants. And I think what Magufuli has demonstrated that it can be done. Did he do everything perfectly? Obviously, no. There are lapses we have seen, but it's a good template that we can take and improve upon, and get Africa to a point that we become equal partner with the West. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that submission. I think we are coming to the end of the show. And it is very important that we share our final thoughts on this show. We know we cannot exhaust the conversation on our beloved brother, our father, and friend, late Honorable President John Pombe Joseph Magufuli. Let me call him by his full name. We loved him dearly even in his death, and we look for more of Magufuli. Imagine or sustaining the legacy already laid in Tanzania and by extension in other African countries. So, in 1 minute, what are your final thoughts to African leaders, to African people? Let me start with Mr. Paul, followed by James, followed by Bashir, and finally the village boy.
Okay, thank you, Michael. What I would like to see in average Africans is courage. Courage to negotiate. They should know that the life of African child or the African child is in their hands. When they go to the table to negotiate on behalf of us, they should know that they are not negotiating on behalf of their individual family. They are negotiating on behalf of the entire citizens or sons and daughters of African descent. All right, and they should do this bearing in mind that whatever decision they make is going to affect even generations yet unborn. Because I think this is what we have not been doing. Many of our African leaders have been selfish. They've not really acquired the knowledge that I think is required to lead in the 21st century. Thank you.
All right, to the next audience, just followed by James, followed by Bashir, and with the village boy.
Yes, Michael, I'll borrow the words of my dear friend Bobby Wine, who has been telling us that the 21st century problems require 21st century solutions by 21st century people. So in this regard, therefore, I would only wish to conclude by saying that God has been so loving and faithful and gracious to us by giving us the life of President John Pombe Joseph Magufuli to read from. Yes, like the village boy said, he has not been a saint, but at least his template is something that many of our African leaders and many of us young people should take stock of and then begin to compare where we have actually not done well. Just like in school, they would tell us, do revision. It is time for us to do revision. Otherwise, I would say, may his soul rest in eternal peace.
Yeah, for me, I say stand for something. Stand for something. Recognize your value. Make a stand and believe yourself. President John Pombe Magufuli assist us, help us to recognize our value, to believe in ourselves. Now, as an African, we know our values. He insists most of the time that we need to have a confidence on ourselves because no one will come from outside and assist us or help us to improve our confidence or to just help us to understand our value. So it's very important for us as an Africans to know our value and to stand for something. Most of leaders in Africa, you don't even know where he stands for. We have no idea. So he's east, he's west. You have no idea. But Magufuli, from the beginning, we know that this man stands for something, and he meant it. And moreover, he let us believe that we can be the Africans we can improve our Pan-Africanism, and moreover, he insists on us of speaking Swahili, because he always says that mawazo sahihi huja kwa lugha sahihi. The perfect thinking comes from the perfect language, your original language, your language. So he led us believing that this country, no one will come from outside to help us. No one. Is upon us Africans to help ourselves. And this country are very rich, is upon to us to be richer. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I think Magufuli has given us a template. Like I said, we have the duty to improve on that template. Yes, he said African are not disciplined enough. We know we are not. So we have to do something about that. Discipline in negotiation, discipline in governance, discipline in living. Then our leaders should walk the talk. Magufuli has shown us it is possible to walk the talk, not just rhetorics, not just making empty promises without doing it. He walked the talk. He backed every of his word with action, action that can be seen, action that can be evaluated, action that can be touched. I think Magufuli has given the whole African continent a template of governance. We can improve on that template. Thank you. May he so rest in peace. May the people of Tanzania in particular and the African descent in general be comforted. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. I think I would love to give my own comment as a Pan-Africanist as well. The image of Africa is been beaten and battered. The redemption of Africa is long overdue, and there is no better time than now for Africans to come together to champion the cause for the Africa of our dream. I must express my sincere appreciation to my brother from Tanzania, Bashir. Despite a very short notice, you obliged us your presence. We are indeed very grateful. And once again, we condole with you on the demise of President John Pombe Joseph Magufuli. And to my brother from Uganda, James has been my friend since 2018. And is a co-founder of Pan-African Youth Center for Economic and Political Leadership, an activist from Uganda. I say thank you for your brilliant contribution always. And to the village boy, is a Nigerian in Canada, a scholar and a policy analyst. I'm very grateful. We have always been discussing a whole lot of issues. And to the brain behind this platform, that's Mr. Paul, a scholar as well, or in India. I must thank you for the time you have given to us to use this platform. So we'll continue this conversation on Africa. Is a discussion that must be sustained, possibly not for our own good alone, but for the sake of generation to come, so that our own words will be recorded in the annals of history. And to our viewers, and particularly the person who is making his or her comment, I don't know whether it's a male or a female now, we are indeed grateful for the time you have dedicated to watch our show. That's Juma Amos. Thank you very much. We are very grateful to you. So I must say once again that tomorrow is another time on this platform. We'll be discussing about role of women in relationship. That will be part 3 of the discussion. And to our viewers, we expect that I'll be grateful if you can make it a date with us on this platform. We must continue to learn, relearn, and unlearn. And that is why this platform was created. So once again, I say thank you very much. And may the soul of President Honorable Joseph Pombe Magufuli rest in peace. I say thank you so much. Bye for now.
Thank you.